What's good, 2020 listeners? Today's quote comes from the illustrious rapper Jay-Z, who just released the 444 album. It was monumental, by the way. My man Jay-Z said, "I wouldn't dare drink Belvedere while Puff still got Ciroc. Y'all niggas need to stop." All right, I got a dope show for y'all today. I ain't even gonna hold it up. I got a special guest today. I got my guy Nico Soul with me. Nico, go ahead and speak to the people, man.
What's going on, world? It's Nico Soul. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming, bro. So, Nico is a rap artist. He actually has some really good music. I've gotten a chance to listen to some songs on SoundCloud, and he's got some really good music. Got a real mellow sound. First, I'd like to ask you, bro, how did you get started in making music?
Man, I basically got started. I originally was rapping at 11 years old, but definitely wasn't taking it seriously as I am now. So it just kind of stretched throughout the years, and I started taking myself seriously by myself at 19, and just released my first project at 21. And now I'm not looking back. I'm 23, so and I'll be 24 this month. So.
And you say you started at 11?
Yeah, I started at 11 when I wrote my first round by myself.
So you would have been 11 what year?
I would have been 11 in 2005.
2005. So what rapper influenced you then?
The Game.
The Game.
The Game and Kanye West.
Okay.
But The Game was definitely my first favorite artist that I dug into.
He did the Chuck Taylor freestyle when he was coming out with the G Unit in there.
Yeah,
I remember that freestyle.
And then the documentary, that was like my Bible.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I definitely rock with Game when he first came out, when he did the 100 bars and running.
Oh yeah,
this on G Unit and whatnot. Yeah. So, bro, as far as like the recording process, the professional process for you, I know what it takes for me to put the work in to make this show happen.
Right.
I would like to know like a little bit about what goes into the professional process for you. You do everything by yourself?
Yeah, as of now, I've been doing recording by myself for at least 3 months, I would say. But before then, I was learning from others that I used to go to home studios, and they would have like, good setups of like MacBook and things in that nature. And I just basically implemented their style into my own.
So you just basically, you kind of learning on the fly, basically.
True enough.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I feel you. And I got one last question for you, and then we're gonna move on to the show topics. I would like to know, like, as far as like your music today and your influences today, like, tell the people first about what your music is and what it means to you, and then tell us like what your influences are today.
What I bring to the music table as far as my inspirations, I would definitely say I try to quote great quotes from inspirational people from all over. It can be from activists, rappers, motivational speakers, as far as like sports, anything that's just motivating, I definitely grabs to it and just let it take a hold of me and try to intertwine it in my music as much as I can. And the inspirations I get from people like Kanye West, J. Cole, Jay-Z, of course, Kendrick Lamar, Tupac, definitely. He's put a great big mark on my life as far as the music inspiration and so on and so on. The list can go on. I can go all day about that.
Word. And what about, like, tell me a bit about your music though. I like to know some about like what you feeling, what you thinking at the time and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, man. When it comes to my music, I like to be relatable as far as the primarily on the black community or any community that can relate to me.
Word.
So it just comes from how I grew up as far as growing up in Little Rock. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, so all my family is primarily based out of there. And me growing up as well as in North Carolina before I moved to Little Rock, and just grabbing things that hold deep into me. So I just grab it from all over.
So yeah, he said he from Cincinnati. The first thing I think of when I think of Cincinnati, first of all, me and my homies call it the Nasty Natty.
Yeah,
when I think about the Nasty Natty, it's this rapper named Stally that got this dumb beard from Cincinnati, and this nigga got a big dumb ass beard too. Hey, it's crazy. I'm jealous of the nigga for that.
Don't be, man.
The beard got him going crazy these days.
Man, it's definitely a crazy trend, and I've been growing it since 19. So
word. So I want to get into the show topics today. I want to talk about two things, and obviously it's got a little bit to do with the Jay-Z album, the influence from the Jay-Z album. If you haven't heard that, that's something that you got to hear. The 444 album to me is the best album of the year, any genre, any genre, and it's relatable to me as a black man, because he said on one song, he was like, I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for $9.99, and if you listen to the album, that's exactly what the fuck he's doing. And it's important that people take heed to that at some capacity. It's anybody can get a message from it if you listen. But the topics today, like I said, they come from the 444 album. I want to know, we want to talk about doing it for the culture, and it's many definitions. I'm going to tell you what it means to me. And I also want to talk about the sneaker culture and what exactly is that? Is that a thing? Is that just something that we make up in our heads? So I'm going to start off with doing it for the culture. Now, first of all, my personal belief as to the definition of doing it for the culture is that you do a thing as a black man or as a black woman, as a black person. You do a thing because it is to be done. You support a black artist, a black professional, and whatever it is that they do, because it's to be done. We need to support each other. I say on a lot of my shows that we are stronger together than we are apart. That's one of the main reasons why y'all hear Nico Soul on my show today, because we're going to be stronger together than we ever can be apart.
Sure.
And that's my personal definition of doing it for the culture, is doing it so we can be together because we need to be together. Doing things because they are to be done. So I've already said what my definition of doing it for the culture is. Nico, what would you define doing it for the culture as, bro?
Man, agreeing to what you already said and just adding on to for the culture as far as doing what you believe in, period. Not caring what anybody else thinks, point blank, period.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think that's what it's about. I say a lot that in 2017, the time for doing things because it appeals to somebody else's sensibilities is over. It's 2017, and I think that especially as black people, we got to start thinking for ourselves before anything. We got to start thinking for ourselves. We got to start doing things to better ourselves. And I think that that's what doing it for the culture is about. Like you doing something to represent your culture, and you doing something to better your culture. So, and I think that that's absolutely what you and I are doing here today. And I think that's exactly what it's about. Doing what you believe in and believe it in something. But I think a lot of people take it like, doing it for the culture is just doing some trendy shit. And like I said, to me, that's not what it's about. I think that, doing it for the culture is doing it because it means something. That immediately brings me to the next topic. Doing it because it means something. We got this big sneaker culture, which in my opinion is a subculture of black culture. It's something that's been taken from, I think, a lot of other minority cultures and Western Europeans, white Americans, dabble into the sneaker game a lot. You see all kinds of white actors and actresses, with Yeezys on. You see them with J's on. I saw, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Mark Wahlberg like 2 weeks ago with a pair of Jordan 5 Supremes. You know what I'm saying? He is a Jordan head. For me, it used to really be a nostalgia thing. When I was, I'll tell you a story. When I was 16 years old, I really loved the Foam Posits. That's when Penny was the big dog. He was playing with Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Penny Hardaway was playing with Shaq back in Orlando Magic back in like 95, 96. And, he was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And up to 98, he got this first sort of technology that they had developed called Foam Posit. It's a hardened foam on the outside of the shoe with a little paint on it. And the shit don't scuff or nothing. The shoe was $180 when it first came out in 1998. $180 is crazy because, if you look today, the Jordans that we buy are $180 to $190 now. This shoe was $180 in 1998. That was unprecedented. And like I said, I was a teenager then, and primarily my mother and father was still purchasing my things. I had a job, but when these came out, I did not have a job, and so I wanted a pair. My mom was like, "Yo, $180 is out of the question. It's out of the fucking question." So I know when I first got into sneakers, I primarily was buying foam posits. That's how I got into it. How did you get to be such a sneakerhead, bro? Because you got some heat, bro. Real talk.
I appreciate it. But man, I grew up in a single parent home, so getting stylish shoes at an early age wasn't the thing for me. So I always seen what other people had on, and I envisioned myself in styling it up if I had it. So as soon as I got the chance, that I would say about 9th grade, I started getting stylish shoes. 9th grade was my first time I had a pair of Forces, and that was a thing at the time, especially in 07,
Yeah.
After that Nelly wave, it carried on for so many years. So after just going to Forces, Nike Blazers, and then once I got me a job at 15, working as a lifeguard, I didn't look back. I started getting into the Jordans, the retro Nikes, Charles Barkley's, the foam posits, and so on and so on, man.
Yeah. My first pair, the very first pair I bought, was in 2013. Believe it or not, all I wore was dress shoes before this. Dress shoes, dress shirts, bow ties, dress pants, sport coat. That's all I wore.
And now that wave is coming back.
It's coming back too, yeah. But I bought a pair of Weatherman foam posits. That was my first pair. Man, there was no turning back. I actually got those at the store you used to work at. I got those at City Gear, the one in Little Rock. And it was just no turning back, man. But I think it troubles me, though, in this day and age, though, man, because I was listening to an interview with Dr. Umar Johnson in the Breakfast Club earlier today while I was at work. And, black Americans spent, did he say 600 million or 6 billion? It was something crazy. It was a crazy number on shoes in 2016. On sneakers, on high price sneakers.
That's crazy.
And you know how it is with Jordan. Jordan drop a shoe every weekend. Every Friday, Saturday, Jordan got a shoe coming out. Whether it's hot, whether it's whack, he got a shoe coming out. And we lining up to get him. And it's like, at this point, like, I've heard some old heads say that, like, when they bring out the same shoes, and, like, legitimately this year, bro, they're bringing out the same shoes, man. It's a lot of the same shit out here. And it's like, what are we doing it for now? I think the main thing is the symbolism of it is what it is. I'll tell you real quick that I have a belief that as far as like women dating bad boys, if you will, it's an association of power. We grew up in the hood. Everybody in the hood sees the dope boy as the guy with the power in the hood. That's just real. Yeah. If you grow up in the hood in America, that's probably majority of what you think as far as an association of power growing up. I think the symbolism of sneakers is sort of an association of power. Maybe not so much power as it is status or popularity. I think that's what we associate that with, rather than a person's actual status or popularity. we look at the shoe or the sneaker to say whether that person may or may not be popping. And I think that, at least for me, I know that some part of me has it in my head that there's a status associated with it, because I will admit that I'm a person about image. And so that's something that I take into account when buying shoes. It's weird to say that, but I just let y'all into my mind again, so that's what it is. Bro, what you think about that? Like, what do you think? Do you think it's just something that you do because it's an interest of yours, or is it something different?
I definitely think it's the symbolism for real. It's just regarding towards the people that we idolized growing up, as far as the, Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, the Penny Hardaways, so on and so on. So,
right.
It goes from there.
I definitely agree with you on that. I think that, man, it's crazy to say, but black people really did make sneakers popular. If you go back to maybe in the 40s and 50s, I know Converse All-Stars have always been a popular sneaker, if you will. I know in the 50s they had a shoe called the PF Flyer. Mm-hmm. That was a similar shoe, a similar make to the Converse All-Stars, Chuck Taylor. But as far as like sneakers, like with players with a name, or a shoe got a name, stuff like that, that's black people. Jordan was the first to really do that. Jordan, and then you got the Converse weapon with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Adidas really came on strong with the Adidas Forum. That was a basic team shoe, But Dominique Wilkins wore that for a while.